Ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about Garrett Wilson already. We did a live stream on it the other day. Cooper Kupp, we did a live stream on both these guys being Revenge Tour 2024 Kings. The Kingmakers, the league winners, the guys that come back and win you fantasy seasons on the back of doubt from the previous year. Garrett Wilson loses his quarterback, doesn't play well at all. Cooper Kupp injured, and he's 31 years old. These two guys will win you leagues. We have more candidates we need to talk about and kind of focus on these two guys a little bit more on this episode of the Revenge Tour.
It's time for some revenge, baby.
The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the Revenge Tour 2024. Garrett Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, is on the verge of becoming the top 5 wide receiver we all knew he would become last year if Aaron Rodgers didn't get injured. He's looked amazing all camp long. He looks fantastic during this preseason stretch of scrimmages and practices, and he looked fantastic in camp. He's looked fantastic throughout scrimmages and anything involving the preseason time frame. He's been unbelievable, and Aaron Rodgers looks completely healthy. He's running downfield, throwing missile strikes to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is dominating the Giants defensive backfield like crazy in scrimmages, and it's crazy to see all the doubt that's still surrounding this guy Garrett Wilson. And while everybody is going to be continuously concerned about Garrett Wilson's quarterback situation, because if it does unfold, it unfolds to what we already know: mediocrity. And maybe this rookie quarterback that the Jets brought in, Travis, could end up being the answer of the future. And if emergency strikes, maybe he is way better than Zach Wilson was. Maybe he does kind of what the Minnesota Vikings quarterback stable has done for JJ, where JJ's still producing. Garrett Wilson didn't under Zach Wilson. So I don't think it's completely the same rinse and repeat from last year if Aaron Rodgers goes down, but no one wants that. No one, we're drafting this man to be a top 5, 6 wide receiver in 2024. Well, really, he's going at the 10, 11, 12, 13 range. And if he plays like a top 5 wide receiver, he's really getting you way more bang for your buck. That's why he's a Revenge Tour candidate. That's why he's a win-a-league player. There still is room to climb up in terms of value, return on investment. But if I had to project what this guy does based on what I'm seeing, how he's dominating the offseason and the preseason time frame that he's, scrimmages, everything, I think we're looking at a potential 100+ catch wide receiver, no doubt about it. Probably something along the lines of 1,300+ yards, and I would say 12 to 15 touchdowns. Now, I'm not saying 15's his floor. I'm saying 12 feels like his floor. 15 could be his ceiling. He could get something in between, but I'd be very pleased, as would all of us, with 101 receptions, 13, 45, and 10 or 11 touchdowns. That would be a remarkable year that earns him at least his value back. You draft him 11 overall, that earns your value back. He gets 15 touchdowns, 115 receptions, maybe 1425, 1450 yardage wise, then he's exceeding expectations so much that you're winning leagues based on it. Now, you might say, Smitty, I understand your Garrett Wilson situation. I do. But I don't understand Cooper Kupp, who turns 31 years old. Let me crap on my own prediction a little bit. Let me take away the ammunition. Let me provide the actual weaponry against my take. I want to say it's around 12% of 31-year-old wide receivers produce at the elite level, the top 10 roughly level that they were playing at before they turned 31, 10 to 12%. It's not a very good number. And while that needs to be factored in, if he was going in the second round, if people said, he's the best ever and he'll play forever, kind of like the way people treat Christian McCaffrey, right? I think then I would be on board saying, let's pump the brakes, because the odds are not great that he's going to be this outlier. But when you go in the third round, and he was going around 4, which was so much better, when you go around 3, you're baking in so much of that risk. It's not the same conversation as, Cooper Kupp's going 8 overall and he's 31 years old. He's going as your third drafted player at 31 years old. That is baking in a lot of risk. Let me put it this way to ease minds of people wavering on this topic. I don't see drop off. at all. Right now in practice, he looks phenomenal. He looks quick. This was a guy that actually, with the missed games included, not per start, sum total on the year, led Puka Nacua in red zone targets, red zone touchdowns, and red zone receptions. That's with missing all the time. This is a guy that looks the part right now. He looks like the number one wide receiver in LA. He does. On the field, he does. Therefore, I'm not concerned about drop-off as long as he's on the field. Now, 31 years old, soft tissue injuries, he can't control that. No one can control that. Christian McCaffrey's calf injury right now, no one can control it. Doesn't matter how much talent you have. When you hit 31 as a wide receiver or 28 as a running back, you are subject to injury risk that could be of the soft tissue variety that you are helpless against if it starts striking you. There's nothing you can do about it. Even Christian McCaffrey, back the 2 years he missed, a lot of those injuries are very small, but they were nagging and there was nothing you could do about it. So he is at risk of that type of situation, but per start, he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver in my mind. And if, let's say, he misses 4 or 5 games, third round ADP is what's packaging in the risk. I'm not worried about it. I'm not, because if he misses 3 or 4 games, you get your value back. If he doesn't miss any time or misses just 1 game, you can win a league with Cooper Kupp, a top 5 producer, which I believe he absolutely will be per start for as many starts as you get. You can win a league if it's very little missed time. What about the rest of the guys? Tank Dell, we know the story here. The thing is, like, Wilson's doubted, right? Yeah, a lot of doubters. So his 10, 11, 12 ADP sometimes falls to 12, 13, 14 because of the doubters. The Cooper Kupp doubt is very, very heavy. Probably 50%, I would say, of people saying, no way, I don't want any part of that. And 50% are like, how is he not a first round? Like, it's a crazy spectrum. But these two guys doubted. Tank Dell doubted. Very doubted. So much so that I believe 4th round value is laughed at more than 4th round is great, or that's a pretty good value. Most people's reaction, at least 50% of the fantasy football population that want to doubt him for his size, mainly want to doubt him because they missed on him. Most people that have a tendency to be like, hey, I missed on this guy. I
have to have a reason behind it.
Right.
I gotta feel better about myself.
Because if I missed on it, then what else can I miss on? I'm admitting that I'm bad. If I start believing in a guy I said was going to be bad and I doubled down, I kept digging a hole, I've got to commit to it, Smitty. That is where most people draw the line. Your boy's got a psych degree for a reason, for moments like this. And I'm telling you, with Kyren, with Achan, with Tank Dell, people that are digging a bigger hole because they don't want to accept how good the player is, they're doing it so they feel better about their previous prediction and they want to prove their previous self right. But they're going to be wrong.
Right?
The doubters of Kyren, Achan, and Tank Dell are just sour over missing out and doubling down and making themselves look like a bad predicting situation. Tank Dell is not the wide receiver 3 in this offense. He is probably, in my opinion, if we want to say there's no 1A this year because there's just 3 great talents, you could say 2A, 2A, and 2B. 2B being Diggs, 2A being Dell, and 2A being Nico Collins. You can say what you want. There are a lot of Nico believers, and I don't know why we have to believe in Dell or Nico and not both of them. I kind of get tired of hearing people say, here, Nico's the guy, Dell's the guy. Dell's the guy at cost. I don't want Nico in the 2nd round. And to be honest with you, if Dell climbed to round 2, I wouldn't draft Dell in round 2. If Nico was going in 4 and Dell was going in 2, this would be the Nico Collins show right now. But the cost of entry on Dell, when I think he's equal to Nico, and he proved that last year. In fact, I think the majority of fantasy football owners, if you're being honest with yourself, can admit that Dell did slightly surpass Nico before his injury. Give me the 4th round player, and that's why I love Dell more. I'm not drafting either one of them in round 2. You give me Dell in round 4, and I get laughed at for that in a lot of circles. So it sounds like we're getting him in 5. And I want you to take advantage of that. I just drafted him in 5 in a grandma league. It's a buddy league. I'm not getting rid of it. I admit I play in a buddy league or 2. Everybody should play in a grandma league or 2. There's nothing wrong with it. When I say that, people are like, oh, Smitty thinks he plays in all the best leagues. No, I'm not saying grandma leagues are bad, but they are grandma leagues. You got to acknowledge that. If you're getting Dell in the 5th round, that's a grandma league. And we're taking it every single time. Let's go, mashed potatoes! Tank Dell is going to be a high-end wide receiver 2 in the worst of scenarios. And if you're going RB quarterback, which is considered the tripod on this channel, you don't know what the tripod is, let me enlighten you.
The
tripod, likened to pyramids in ancient Egypt, consists of drafting one of Allen, Mahomes, or Hurts to go with one of these round one running backs and one of these running backs in round two. The tripod.
If you go tripod, if you go running back, Mahomes, running back, Hurts, whatever, and you want to make Tank Dell your fourth rounder or your fifth rounder and your number one wide receiver, you're okay doing that. Don't let somebody say, oh, you look weak at wide receiver. Well, no crap, Bob, because my running backs and my quarterback stable, my tripod is better than your entire team. So, of course, you're going to be a little light at wide receiver. But let me tell you something. You're winning a championship if you've got Tank Dell, Worthy, and Rice, or Tank Dell, Coleman, and Worthy, Tank Dell, Rice, and Worthy, and Coleman, or whatever the hell you build. Those are ballers, straight ballers. I'm going light wide receiver shopping all day long, if that's what we're talking about. And I think, we may or may not have already talked about that light wide receiver topic on the most previous live stream or the one next. I've got my eye on that topic, so hang tight on that. And this final guy, Kyler Murray, I mean, guys, he was a top 5 quarterback before his ACL tear. Through 10 games of football, he was number 5, prorated to be the number 5 quarterback in 2022, tears his ACL. Everybody's doubting him. He comes back last year, off the torn ACL. No weapons but McBride, and the offense was bottom of the barrel. Turns back into a top 10 offense immediately. Give him what he had last year when he produced a top 10 offense with very little, when McBride hadn't even fully flourished yet. And you give him MHJ, and you give him Trey Benson if Connor doesn't work out, or you have the combo of the two, 4-3 running back that's going to be electric all over the field. What do you think this is going to look like at the end of the year? This is a revenge tour arsenal. Garrett Wilson 1, Cooper Kupp 2, Tank Dell 3, Kyler Murray 4, and then the obvious choices. We know the Falcons are going to blow up the safest QB room in the league. I didn't say the best, but it's the safest QB room in the league. And Stevenson, Burrow, AR5, Musgrave, Jacobs, McLaurin to the moon. And McLaurin without Dotson, now it's even more of an easy call. But these are the obvious guys. These are, I don't want to say not obvious to some of us, they are, but they're the doubted league winners, the revenge tour candidates. Now get out there and win a league. And don't forget, I'm live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Additionally, live whenever news breaks, and live most midnights. So let's draft most midnights. I'll see you all on the next live stream, which should be in a few minutes, probably. Come on, man. Pick up.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey, man, it's Devontae Adams again. Call me back, bro.
In your eyes, the light that hit your eyes. Complete your eyes.
Your eyes.
Garrett Wilson and the boys.
Your eyes.
Rogers has new toys.
Your eyes.
The lights, the heat.
Your
A
eyes.
Jets fan complete.
Your eyes.
You don't want to test Sauce Gardner's heat.
Your eyes.
I want to watch Brees Hall's quick feet.
Jets country, let's ride.
See you at 8 p.m. every single Monday through Friday. And again, I'm live whenever. Additionally, I'm live whenever news breaks. Get out of here. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty drafted us most midnights. Link is in the description. Deuces.